Hello, my name is Regina Steele, and today I'd like to discuss intuition, analytical thinking, and a problem I have observed within my classroom walls. As an educator, it is important to be flexible, empathetic, and willing to modify instruction to adapt to our students. In return, we expect students to complete any given work so they can better themselves. When students consistently don't complete their work and turn in assignments, it is an educator's duty to wonder why. I believe that the core of some students not completing individual work revolves around executive functioning challenges, like planning and organization, not a lack of capability. Missing these assignments can cause students to feel overwhelmed as they see their grade go down as work piles up. This can lead students to procrastinate even further and miss the chance to make up missing assignments, affecting their engagement and their grade. By teaching students proper organizational skills, they can begin to learn ways to approach individual work, causing them to perform better on their report cards and in the long run. Malwaska 2018 wrote, "The concept of intuition is unique, and its colloquial understanding is significantly different from its scientific definition. This is due to the fact that intuition is often treated as a magical, mysterious ability to predict future events, being referred to as a sixth sense. This skill is vital for educators to have. We must be intuitive to understand that students may not understand an assignment, understanding the underlying reasons they may lash out, or if they are struggling at home. In my case, I have observed a plethora of capable, willing, and energetic students. They pay attention in class and work in the walls of my room, but still come empty handed when it comes to homework or assignments with solidified due dates. Informal conversations have revealed that students aren't sure how to manage all their work with their personal lives, family obligations, and part time jobs. My intuition suggests that the problem is not related to academic skill, but a need for structure and support. By moving forward with different planning and scaffolding strategies, students have a larger chance at completing their work in an effective and digestible section. To tackle this problem, I have chosen a plan, do, check, act model. To plan, we can create assignments mindfully to include three milestones with dates for students to prepare for. Creating a visual timeline will help students to follow along. When these due dates approach, there will be class check ins and to help students continue their assignment. For the do category, we can use new assignment structure in the classroom while providing modeling and supplementary tools. By using check ins and class discussions to guide students in their individual work, we can continue on with the assignment and the new structure. For the check category, we can compare completion data to a similar assignment given before the intervention. By using Google Forms and anonymous feedback to check for patterns between students, we will understand what works and what doesn't work. Check ins with students on an individual level will obtain qualitative data, and finding and using executive thinking strategies that worked best between students will help everyone get on the same page. For the ACT category, we will refine the planning model based on student feedback and continue with solidified strategies that students can become truly familiar with. Hopefully, we can share these results and findings with colleagues to possibly establish continuity throughout their classes and grades. Analytical thinking is the ability to break down given information into smaller parts to observe carefully while using logic and evidence to understand or solve a problem. Analytical thinking allows for a more clear and defined set of evidence to fall back on. It is good to trust our intuition, but it is also important to have evidence to back up any potential claims. Radhanika et al. 2025 wrote, "Problem based learning is an instruction management in which teachers define a situation or problem with an aim to provoke students' curiosity in that situation or problem, which shall force them to perform analytical thinking and decomposition." End quote. This describes the relationship between using intuition to problem solve and the next steps being the analytical thinking process, and how these skills should be fostered in our classroom. For my observed problem, the analytical steps can revolve around collected classroom data, student feedback, and comparing assignment completion rates. A study done by Heat and Lighter 2025 suggests that people learn planning strategies best throughout personal experience and feedback. This relates to the outcomes students may see when their assignments are broken into manageable steps. This study also highlights that strategy discovery is not automatic, and students need structure, repetition, and reflection to truly understand how to use time management properly. Without a strong foundation in planning skills, students may struggle to grasp the core elements of an assignment, making effective time management difficult. Biscontani 2024 wrote, quote, much of the scientific community believes that humans are not born with set levels of executive functions. Instead, they are born with certain capabilities for executive functions, which may then be fulfilled or unfulfilled. Individuals develop their executive functions throughout their lives. End quote. This quote again suggests that people must be taught these executive functions throughout practice and retrial. Samong et al. 2021 found that, quote, the number of assignments completed was found to have a strong association with academic achievement. Time management was the strongest predictor of the number of assignments completed, as well as time spent on assignments. Time management was also the mediator between self efficacy and the number of assignments completed. End quote. This quote directly suggests that the relationship between completion rates and the use of effective functioning skills are related. This is why we must promote these skills in the classroom. In my own personal experience, every time I have ever created a timeline or guided planning tracker for my students, they have made a higher effort to complete their work. From my intuition and solid evidence, it can be inferred that students will improve on an assignment when they are given clear, structured, and supported planning. By breaking larger assignments into smaller steps, it can reduce student stress and be presented to them in a manageable way. The evidence also suggests that skills such as planning and motivation need to be taught and are not a part of natural abilities. By giving students clear feedback, they can improve these essential skills. This includes modeling the skills ourselves to motivate students to do the same. It is also implied throughout the research that without a solid understanding of executive functioning skills, students may struggle to effectively complete assignments. All of these assumptions are influenced by the research and my personal experience. To establish the analytical thinking process, we can break it down into steps. The first being identifying the problem. In my case, students are not completing assignments, not due to a lack of ability, but because of poor planning and executive functioning. Next, gather information through collected classroom data, assignment completion rates, and anonymous student feedback via Google Forms. Next, we break that information down into noted key factors, such as missed deadlines, lack of time management, or confusion about expectations. Next, we must examine any evidence, such as found patterns showing students perform better when assignments were broken into steps, or how they deal with certain planning structures. Next, we can evaluate any options, considering possible interventions such as scaffolding, teaching planning strategies, or reducing assignment volume. Next, we can draw conclusions from our evidence. We chose to implement the PDCA model with structured checkpoints, visual timelines, and student feedbacks. Finally, we can reflect and adjust for future trials and for the betterment of our students. In comparing intuition and analytical thought, intuition is fast and automatic as it relies on gut feelings and past experiences. It is also emotionally driven, often influenced by feelings or subtle cues. It is also good for quick decisions and it is useful when time is limited or data is scarce. And it can be biased as it is prone to error if unchecked or based on any assumptions. When it comes to analytical thought, it can be slow and deliberate, breaking information into parts and examining defined evidence. It is also logic based as it is focused on objectivity, data, and reasoning. It can be good for complex decisions and is best when accuracy and justification is needed. And hopefully, it can reduce bias as it encourages reflection and a deeper understanding. Using intuition and analytical thinking together can help to refine and validate the best solution when the time of reflection is given. Reflecting on my findings, I feel confident that the inclusion of planning skills within the curriculum will promote a higher completion rate. Along with my intuition, I reflect upon my own experience as a young student. Before I was taught proper planning skills, I would forget assignments, procrastinate, and become anxious about finding a place to start. I do feel that the inclusion of a PDCA model is a viable option and would like to test it out in the upcoming school year. When using consistent feedback and support, students can begin to modify planning to their own wants and needs. The data I collected did support the fact that poor planning and organization were major factors in missing assignments and not a lack of capability. Moving forward with the next school year, I will be able to see any potential barriers and can try to overcome them. I will also have the opportunity to communicate with my colleagues to further facilitate a possible route of action. Here are a list of my references.